Welcome to another episode of Hanging with the Huns with your host, Todd and Carrie Hun. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Hanging with the Huns. I'm your host, Todd. This is my lovely wife and co-host, Carrie.
Hello.
And we have our first guest, the awesome Aunt Shirley.
Yay. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. What an honor it is to be here.
Oh, thank you.
Really.
It's an honor to have you. It's awesome you're our first guest.
I know.
Perfect.
Yeah, when
best.
y'all first asked me, I was like, it made me nervous and scared and excited all at the same time. So I
Right.
was like, what a blessing. So I was like, I embraced it, and I was like, I'm counting down the days, and here we are. Yeah. Me
So
too.
do you want to kick it off, or?
Okay, so yes, so the reason why we have you here is because we want to hear your story. It's an amazing story, just from struggle to temptation, all those things that we try to avoid basically in life. And you actually, went through a really tough time in your life, but you're the reason your story is so amazing because you've come out of it and on a better side.
Yeah.
And so we just want to hear your story and kind of like how you got there, and then just tell us your story, and then we'll have some questions for you. I'm sure we'll come up with some questions.
And before you start, I just want to say this is probably going to be very emotional for all of us, but her story is super special to me because of how I'll get into it later. But just her testimony is awesome testimony for me of what God can do in somebody's life, because I was the one that was like, there is no way God can do anything with her. She is gone. I had no hope. And
he pretty much he did.
I've only said it about a couple people before, and it's like God was like, watch this.
Yeah.
And so it's like your story is a huge story for you, but it's everyone else, and especially me. But that's why I've always been so excited to see you helping women and telling your story, because that's all you have to do to give hope to so many people. And that's why it's great to have you here, because your story is amazing. So,
and I remember that when once you did get better, I remember you were so excited, and I remember you telling, it was like when we moved into our house and you came over, I think, to come visit or just to see our house or tell us, because it was the next time we saw you once you got better, and you're so excited to just help people get through what you went through and help them get to where you're at. And you're like, I think you even said you wanted to be a counselor, or, you wanted to have the opportunity to help. And I was like, I just remember being so proud of you and so happy, because I've seen you through before my Aunt Shirley. And then I saw you during, and you were not my Aunt Shirley. I don't know, who that was, but it wasn't you. And then I've seen you come over, basically make it out of it and out of that darkness. So, all right, well, we're just going to let you go ahead and tell us your story.
All right. Well, first I just want to say, how good is God? By you saying that of the being full of doubt and unbelief, and to watching God transform somebody's life, because who better to see it than your own family, and what a blessing it is. And what I have found out is one of my bosses, when I was speaking for Mukti last year for the gala at Rethreaded, he said, I want you to put in there that gratitude is your superpower. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, because everybody that is around you can feel the gratitude because you share it so well. And I was like, so I've always held on to that, because I didn't know that. I guess I kind of did, because I was taught in the beginning of my recovery to keep gratitude, to make that list and to check it twice, to keep adding to it.
Right.
And to be always thankful for no matter what it is. And it does, it transforms your life. And to be able to go back into the jail now, to share the message of hope, and I like to believe that I had a very good life also whenever I was growing up, because spoiled baby of 5. I was 7 years younger than your mama.
Me too.
14 years younger than Aunt Priscilla. And Tommy and Johnny were in between them. But I just remember always getting my way, always getting what I wanted. And I think that entitled me to having things my way. And in the recovery program, it teaches me about being selfish, because after step 1, there's nothing about the drugs or the alcohol. It's about who I am. And the simple way to put it is, I'm broken enough to where the light can get in. I have to be shattered. And this is my own experience. This is my own personal life. Nothing about anybody else's. But for me, I had to go to where I went. I know I think every marriage has their problems. I went from married 15 years, and circumstances take you apart, and it takes 2 to make it. And when you have unequally yoked, and one is doing this and the other one wants to get back at them, and you tit for tat, and you did this to me, so I'm going to hurt you by doing this, and back and forth.
And that's not a marriage.
No. And it's like, I just remember what this guy telling me, life is too short to be unhappy. And what I heard him say was, your husband's in your way and your children in your way. You need to get rid of them. So I was like, oh, I need a divorce. Bottom line, I need to get rid of them because they're in my way of finding out who I am. And, that was part of the circle starting to get bigger. Because after me and Roy got divorced, I went to find and discover who I was.
Right. Because at that time you're like, well, now I got to find my happy.
Yeah, exactly. And then not only drinking, but dabbling in drugs, because I'd always been a dabbler of, ooh, this feels good, but never experiencing it enough.
So let me ask you a question. Have you been a believer since you were young, and then you just kind of strayed from God? Or, I mean, you had Christianity or God in your life as a child or not? No. Okay.
No, we lived out in Mandarin. We lived way out in Mandarin. And I just remember taking the church bus when I was young to basically go to church and get candy.
Okay.
Yes, I've been there. Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember anything being taught. And then as my kids got older, I remember taking them to church because that's what I had to do. My mother-in-law went to church and everybody went to church, so I had to go. But I even joined the choir once.
I did that too.
You're right.
When I was a kid.
But as far as being out of church, was my Bible ever open?
Yeah.
Did I ever pray?
Okay.
Did I ever?
You didn't understand really why you're going to church or what
Correct.
It was for.
Right. And then if you asked me if I believed in God, I would have said yes, because doesn't everybody? But did I? I didn't, because I had no faith in him. Now I know that it's about a relationship with him, to trust him before I trust anybody.
So you didn't have that even when you were, going back to where you were going out on your own. So you didn't have a godly life. You didn't have anything telling you no, or like when you wanted to dabble in the drugs or you started to do that.
No, I think
you didn't have anything to tell you no.
No, and the people that did, if somebody comes up to you out on the street and says, would you like some food or anything? It's like, no. I wanted people far away from me because I didn't want the light to get close. And the further off it was, the better off I felt.
Sure.
Because, I mean, of course I knew what I was doing. By the time I ended up out on the street, I was isolated. I didn't want to be around, especially nobody in my family.
So before you got on the street, though, would you say you were you started to do the drugs and it wasn't enough? You kept wanting to do more and it got to the point where it was ruining your life?
Over a process of time, because it's like the weekends. And then it became every other day. And then it was like there was not enough hours in the day. And what was more important? I mean, I even left the office in the middle of the night once or twice. Unplugging the little beepers.
That's right, because you were working there back in the day.
To go get more, and
wow.
I know.
Okay, so I didn't know that.
Nobody did.
Well, I mean, and that's what I mean. I always wondered how you got there. So that's why I was wondering, how did you get on the streets?
When Daddy kicked me out because he was going through Alzheimer's, and I just remember him saying, this is my house, get out of my house. And me going and getting some clothes and him going, well, where are you going now? So for a drug addict to hear that, it's like, you're confusing me. Don't confuse. And I know what I want to do. I really want the excuse to leave.
Yeah.
So any excuse at all, I can leave. And the more time that I spent out there on the street, the funner it got, because I mean, the scary part is there's no responsibility except the responsibility of more.
Right. Okay.
There's nothing out there except whatever I think that I want and the chase. So it doesn't matter. By this point, it's like I'm better off.
So you weren't even thinking about you needed a job or you needed a place to live, nothing.
No,
like you just wanted that drug.
Entitlement of Daddy's company couldn't work without me. They need me. When he fired me, I was like, oh my God. And then, and my mentality then was, I'll show you. You think I'm bad now? Watch this.
Oh, okay.
And because it just, the disease of addiction and alcoholism just takes you to a different level of watch me now.
It basically takes over where you're not yourself.
Yeah. Right. Instead of going out and getting like a management job or something better than the one you're fired from. Yeah. You go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just the way it was because, and then the being in jail, I mean, it starts off with the slap of the hand, and I remember the first time I went to jail I was thinking when the judge sees my maiden name, my father's name, he's going to say, I know Tom.
Oh my gosh. You would have that. You would think that.
Yes.
Wow.
But in reality, it didn't happen that way. So it was like,
no, I know.
Well, don't you know who I am?
Right.
That makes a lot of sense that this is the mentality you built up in your head.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's because by this time it's like hard to know the truth from the false and fantasy and real.
Wow.
Because my fantasy world is a lot different, sometimes a lot better than reality.
But somebody else looking on the outside at it, no.
I mean, they're sitting on the side of the road or in the woods, hoping and wishing that somebody that I knew that I loved. Your mama just pulling up and opening the car door saying, get in, Shirley, we love you. We'll get you help. That never happened. But I still wish deep inside that something like that would have. And now my joke is that JSO kept opening their door saying, get inside.
They were the one, hey,
the only ones that care for you.
Exactly.
So what, do you mind telling us what you were put in jail for and how many times were you put in jail?
You know what? My nephew asked me that question once. He said, so Aunt Shirley, how many times have you been arrested? And my answer to him was more than once, but less than 50.
Oh, wow.
That's a good answer.
Okay.
Within a 10-year period. And,
right.
And by the grace of God, I never went to prison. The last 3 times that I was in there I did 10 months or 8 months and then 10 months and another 10 months. And I was out 2 months in between. So 28 out of 36 months I was locked up that period, but it was just a part of the process of in and out of jail. And it started off of paraphernalia,
right.
Driving on suspended license and, then the drugs. And then the last 6 charges were for prostitution. And, especially 10 years ago, it was still very shameful. The magazine, shame.
Right.
And my father had a lot to do with all the people that were affiliated with that too. So that just caused me to hold on to more shame and more guilt of I can't get better.
Drive you even further down.
Yeah. Yeah. And then each time I would go to jail, I would, try to do the right thing. I'm going to do better. But not really wanting to because I didn't know. The last time I went to jail, I believe that's when the deep answers started. Really ask myself, do I want to live or do I want to die?
Right.
By this time, my kids were married. They all were having kids, and I wasn't there.
And you were feeling, I'm sure at that time you started to feel you were missing out.
Yeah. But before all that, the missing out didn't matter.
No, I know.
Like,
you didn't think about it.
No, it was the belief of they're better off without me.
Right.
But the shift started taking place of, do I want to live or do I want to die? How do I do that?
Right.
And asking somebody to help me.
Okay. I guess before that, or what would you say made you start feeling that way? Was it something you read or something, or how do you think you got to that point, started to
think
that
it's
shift?
a combination of all of it,
Okay.
but really,
But you're in jail, like you're in jail. And so you're not using, you're getting clear headed.
right. So
Okay.
this is after being out only 2 months. I did 10 months and then was out 2 months and then did another
Okay.
10 months with
So
the Matrix House program.
That last time, I seem to remember like you almost wanted to go back. Is that correct? Like you wanted to go back to jail because you were like ready to make that decision, maybe?
I don't know about ready to go back to jail.
Okay.
But it didn't matter at this point, because each time that I started, the more frequent times that I went to jail, the easier it became, because I knew I was going to be fed. I knew I was going to, 3 hots in a cot.
Right. Yeah.
So I knew I was going to be taken care of. But the Matrix House program, the drug rehab in jail, that's where you do get some counseling and you do get some structure and you do have rules that you have to start abiding by.
Right.
So I think that became almost I went through there 3 times. So it became almost a second home to me.
So how does one get into that? Is that offered to all that are in jail for drugs? Or
not to all. There's stipulations.
Okay, I've wondered about that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a violent charge, obviously not, because it's structured, and it's a privilege to be there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously have to have some type of drug addiction or some kind of qualification.
Right. That's what I was wondering. So how did you get into that program? How did they pick you?
Offered to me.
To you.
Yeah. And then by the last time I went, I was like, I need the Matrix again, because in the time before that, I remember having the thought that I couldn't get back into the 12-step program unless I went through the Matrix, because I'm really messed up at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing that all I had to do was walk into a room and ask for help. But, but I think the deep questions and really starting to read and pray, really starting, because I remember my friend Salem, he would come and I watched God transform his life, because he had just all these things that he would share with me that I didn't believe. Because I told him, he said, God will change you from the inside. Excuse me. Change you from the sorry. Will change you from the inside out. And I was like, I don't believe that. I saw it. And then he said, just pray. And I was like, how do you pray? That makes no sense to me. Because he said, if it makes it easier, get an empty chair and talk to the chair. Just start talking. He said, just like me and you were talking. I was like,
that seems silly. Right.
Right. But in my mind, I guess because I had that doubt, but I still started doing it. And
you planted the seed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
So you never prayed then before? Like that wasn't
the foxhole prayers. Oh God, please, I'll never do this
right.
again.
No.
If you get me out of this one.
Right. But never like that.
Not from my heart. Not from my heart. But the first time that I really felt God's presence, we were on a tight house, which is not very good. But anyhow, I was sitting in my chair. And I guess I was meditating or prayer or whatever, but I felt just warm, like just being all from my head to my feet. And I was like, I shared about it in front of 185 people, because I was like, this is what happened, because I never felt that before. And then, then I remember hearing him, I was making up my bunk and I heard, I am with you. Because I asked and I heard it as loud.
What was that?
Sorry.
I heard that loud too.
Yeah. Oh, thunder or something.
Yeah. But I asked my bunkie, I said, did you hear that? And she said, no. But the things that you really know deep inside of you, people can't take that from you. Just like I know that God saved me, and nobody can change that, because he saved my life. And, and it's not my duty or my responsibility, but it's my joy to share what he did, and not in a bad way, because some people still are like, I don't believe it. I don't want to hear it. I'm like, that's okay too. Mm-hmm. But I know that I have proof for me.
Right.
I can tell you, we see the proof too. Like, seriously. I mean,
I have mugshots.
Even before.
We'll put those at the end.
Yeah. I mean, it was obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, we were believers. Yeah,
right.
Maybe that's why it was obvious. But there was clearly a change where you could tell your chains were broken. Like, you were not a slave to that addiction
It's a
anymore.
good song too.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yes, so it was definitely an obvious thing to us, and we were so thankful. It definitely was answered prayers, because that I remember praying for you. And when he would say, "There's no hope," I said, "Yes, there is.
I know.
I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah, I
keep
mean,
praying."
when you were around, like there was one time you came to Papa's house, and I think you were living there.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably right before we left.
Yeah, because you're
you moved out
visiting
of
the
there.
office sometimes.
But
You're coming around the house.
Was I?
Not you. It was the other person that was.
so there was. I mean, that house was. It had a presence. I mean, we talked about that in the podcast where you're living at the
I mean,
house.
I didn't realize it until I was there.
But there was. I remember one time that you. I don't even think you just came in. I don't think you realized.
I know exactly what it was. We were moving out because we had to get the heck out of there.
I think I remember that day too, because I just remember looking at you like,
yeah,
I remember,
you hate. Yeah, I know. It's like you couldn't even look at him. Like you were not talking to him. You were only talking to me. And even then, it was like real short. I think you just wanted to know if we were moving out. Like I think you were wanting to get in there or something. I don't know.
No,
it was
telling.
Whatever.
We were in a hurry.
My motives were not good. I'm sure.
Whatever the reason was, it was like it wasn't hate. It was like protect my children. I mean, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, she is a demon. That is not Shirley.
Right.
And I was like, get the kids in the car, and we need to get out of here, because I mean, it wasn't just you, it was the whole house. You know, there was just an energy there that was dark, and I didn't want my kids there, you know. So that time was like, that was one of the times where I was just like, she's gone. I can't deal with this anymore. I don't want my kids around, you know, any of this.
Well, do you know, and even when I lived at Daddy's house, and, you know, to me, when people would call it the trap house, let's go to the trap, I was like, this is my daddy's house. You know, I couldn't see that I was turning it into a drug, whatever. It was horrible. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the demons were unleashed, and it was a very, for I think about 2 years there, and or maybe a year and a half, 2 years, it was an eternity. But not knowing how to stop the cycle, you know, and that's once you're on that wheel, it's hard to break it. You know, jail can do it, rehab can do it. But I think God's power is the only one that can really break it. And the people that pray, there's power in prayer. And, you know, like I said, I was not one of them. But to know that people were praying for me and didn't give up, that encourages me to keep praying for people that I love. You know, and that's where the message comes in. It's like when people say, you know, my pastor always says, don't ask me to pray for you. I'll pray with you. You know, it's like, let's pray together, because there were two or more are gathered.
Yes.
You know, we can do it. We can do it. You know, and the three that are strong. So it's like just everything that I've learned over the last 10 years has helped me to grow up, to grow into a woman, you know, and become responsible, you know, because I don't want to forget those days and those the dark emptiness. But I don't stay there. You know, when I pass through life now, thank you, Jesus. I know that you saved me from this hellhole.
Yeah.
You know, and I do that every day. I drive through there, and it took me a long time to be able to do that without sweating bullets.
Right.
You know, because I was afraid. It's like, you know, I don't go sit and, you know, I'll go out on the street and do a street ministry with some women, but I don't go by myself.
Yeah.
You know, because I still am a drug addict.
Right.
Right. You're
I'm human.
Aware that there's still demons out there that
and there's one thing that I do know, that is a power that I don't mess with.
Right.
You know, I know that the drug is stronger than me, and it's capable of killing me with whatever. Right. You know, and to know that. So that's why I don't mess with it. And I think to be able to accept me for who I am has been one of the biggest things, you know, the blame and the shame. We call it the BS at work. At Rethreaded, it's BS. Okay. And to finally let go of that, you know, instead of blaming my family, my children and all that, it's like to take responsibility and go, you know what? I did that. Yes, I did that. Yes, I was all those things that people think or may know that I was. That's okay. And to let go of that shame of carrying that guilt of, oh my God, I can't believe it. And just to hold that responsibility and say, yeah, that happened. It's a fact. But to know that that is not my purpose today, because my purpose is right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
like
to
you
share
said,
the message.
That feeling of being grateful and grateful that you do have your family in your life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and how many people are in the same position you were in, and just by telling your story, they can relate to that, and they see that there is hope. There's a way out of whatever they're in. There's a way out of it.
No matter how
to get out
far
of it.
you've gone.
And then so now, I mean, you were selfish and you were a taker, and now you're away from that, and now you're giving.
Yeah.
You're giving back to the community you were in. Really, I mean, you're able to help those people that they wouldn't be able to find help because they're probably sitting in the forest saying, why can't my relatives come pick me up and open the door?
Right.
Same way you were thinking. So now you can be that light.
Yeah, and I mean, and not everybody goes maybe to the darkest place where I went, thank goodness. But I think for each one of us, I believe really that I have had to go that far just so I could let God in. If you don't know that you're blind, how do you know that you're blind? Until you're able to look back and see. It's like, or to be deaf. All these things that I just didn't know until I was able to go, and not that I brought it all on myself, but I did.
Yeah.
You made the choices. They were your choices.
I didn't know how to make good choices because I thought that I couldn't ask. This is where the difference is instead of relating to people, I was always, I can't ask you for help because I should know.
Right.
I should know that by now, or I can do it myself. I don't need you. All these lies that I believed. And, it's like, I didn't even know that I lied to myself. That was one of the biggest truths for me to discover was I lied to myself. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
To get what I wanted.
Right.
To really, it's like, you are in my way, so you have to go because I need this over here. This is in my way now because I want, never to be happy and never to be satisfied, always on that search for more and whatever that more is. That's exhausting.
Yeah.
To be happy and content with whatever is with me right now. What a blessing. My new house.
Oh, I mean, I mean, it's so awesome to see what's happened after all of this with your life and everything. I mean, that other people see that too, and they're like, wow, she's doing great. I mean, the house is awesome. It's amazing. And that's something you wanted. And, I mean, you have your own backyard and everything. You get to mow.
Yeah, actually, Amy and she does a lot of the mowing. We both were taking turns, and pretty soon she was. I was like, okay,
get out there to mow the lawn.
I'm not going to argue, but it all works out. And I think that's one of just knowing and believing that no matter what happens, it's all going to work out. Because I remember thinking when early in my sobriety was, I would see women get their boyfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or get this great job and they're making all this money. And I remember thinking, I want that. I want a boyfriend. I want a husband. I want. And the ladies that God put in my life, they taught me, God gives you what you need. This is what He wants you to have. And am I okay with that? Now I am. If I haven't even dated in 10 years, I'm okay. Because I get to still do what I want to. I get to travel and I get to go wherever I want to go, whenever I want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
You've definitely been traveling.
Yeah. So all these things, it's like, if am I okay? Absolutely. Because God provides me what I need. And it's not saying that it has to be done this way or that way. It just the right thing in front of me, whatever that looks like. I can't say what's right for you or you,
Right.
but I know what's right for me.
And
most of the time.
And that's just a great feeling.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, it's kind of content, but it's just, it's just faith, knowing that you're doing the right thing now, and God's going to take care of you, whatever you need. Exactly. Right. I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you got involved with the company that you're working for now. Did you start as volunteer first? How did you hear about Rethreaded?
Well, you know what? When I first got out of jail, I got out with some other ladies, and they went to Rethreaded. I didn't go to Rethreaded for another 5 years, but I did go to help sort T-shirts. And what Rethreaded is a nonprofit, and we help survivors coming out of human trafficking. And that looks like it's a big umbrella, but mainly we help women here that were either trafficked here, which is basically prostitution, drug addiction, and it's a long story how to get there. But I will share that I started off as a volunteer, and when the time came for me to fill out the application and to start that process, I knew that it was the right thing. Yeah. And to be a counselor now, not so much.
So what exactly is Rethreaded? What is what do they do?
It's a 3 to 5 year program.
Right.
And what we do when a woman gets hired on there, her first 90 days is basically getting understanding to clock in and out, just getting grounded.
Right.
Because these are women usually most likely didn't ever have a job before.
Correct. Okay. Or haven't worked in a long time. You know, so it's career choices.
Okay.
So your first year is basically mental health. What does that look like? Because you have a job, you have to show up for it. It's just like any other job.
So do they have counseling that helps you?
We do. We have therapy, and we have single one-on-one counseling and group counseling. So, but we also have career classes to where it's like nutrition classes, parenting classes, resume training.
I had no idea that it was all about that.
Yeah. So there's a lot entailed to it. So it's a lot about helping women discover who they are.
Wow.
And then when you start coming alive and getting rooted, flourishing in who you are, it's like, so what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And how do we get you there?
Wow.
So they start college, they get their license. We help all there's two social workers there that work there. And so what they do is just somebody coming with you. The community coming alongside of you to help you grow into who you were created to be.
It's amazing.
It really is. I would love to give you a tour.
That's way more than I thought it was. I for some reason I thought it was just a business that hired, victims of human trafficking, and then you did some kind of fabric or something.
No, see, we do.
What the heck?
I started to wear one of the gray. I knew I should have worn the gray scarf because, darn it.
You always usually have one.
I know.
They're all different colors.
So is there a product though? Because that's what.
Yeah. So what we do, we make the gray scarf, and that's made out of 100% cotton T-shirts. I wish I would have had one. I'll have to send you a picture of one.
Okay.
And then we also, when volunteers come, which volunteers are welcome, and we sit down and we deconstruct airline seats. That is taken and washed, dyed, cut into product. We make jewelry, we make earrings.
Thank God you washed them.
I didn't know that either.
Can you imagine let's not even go there.
Yeah. Well, Southwest donated 27 pallets about 7 or 8 years ago. So it took that long to go through all that. And we've been making the product for about 6 years now. Now we've been doing other airline seats from Collins Aerospace, and my mind's blank. I don't remember the other one.
Yeah.
But so it's good volunteer. So if y'all ever want to volunteer.
I do, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love to. And I wanted to talk to you about that. That's why I was interested.
Thursday afternoons, 1:30 to 4:30.
Oh.
Sweet.
Thursdays. Well, I'll work on Thursdays.
Oh, well,
we can work
that. We can work that out. Because if I have a group come in on Fridays, then we can fit you in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I love doing the volunteers. That's one of my hubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I get to meet people and I get to be around people.
Yeah.
Our retail space is beautiful.
I've seen pictures of that.
You need to come really see it.
I know.
So now, how does AA fit into Rethreaded? Is it Rethreaded or Rethreaded?
No,
it's Rethreaded.
Okay, so you do that too, also.
Correct.
Okay, so you get out of jail.
Yeah.
You go to a halfway house.
I did.
And I don't know how it works. Does a judge say you have to be in these programs, or they
No.
just
This
kick
is
you
all
out and
voluntary.
you're on your own?
Well, I mean, if you're on probation when you get out of jail, of course you have to do what the paperwork says. But
Right.
after a certain length of time, they wouldn't give me probation anymore because
Right.
I get out and catch me.
They'd be like,
Catch me
see
when
you
you
in a couple weeks. Yeah.
So I wasn't privileged to get probation, but
Okay.
the last time I got out, I went to Alco House and I stayed there for 4.5 years. I did when I got out March 2nd, 2014, and this is still the mindset of everybody should love me because I'm sober now, once again. And by July, because my kids didn't worship the ground that I walked on, I ended up relapsing because I was still sneaking, still fighting that battle of, can I do it? And as long as you don't see me over here, you'll see me over here, so it was that battle. But when I finally let that go, because it was the last night that I ended up out on the street, it was because of my friend Patsy that I grew up with. She passed away October 7th and her birthday was October 19th. And I remember the last time that I snuck off, and I remember asking myself, where was she at? What happened? She's my age.
Right.
I'd already lost my parents, my brothers, and lots of family and friends. But it was her death that impacted me because she was my age. And I was like, what was going on? And she accidentally took too many pain pills. So again, part of the process, because I really needed to dig deep to find out where I wanted to go. What is wrong with me? And to trust God. But I had to leave the halfway house for a month. But when I got back, that's when the new sense of gratitude kicked in. And I stayed there for 4 more years. And it's like, I knew myself well, or I got to know myself better and well enough to know that if I rushed things too quickly, it wasn't going to happen. Because one roommate said, we need to go get an apartment. I was like, I don't even have a license yet. No.
Yeah.
Priorities started happening because people helped me to see this should come first, save money, get your teeth fixed, get your driver's license, save money for a car, and, all these little things that had to be done first. And
now,
then,
was that the people in Rethreaded that counseled you with that, or
this is all part of AA?
Okay.
Because like I said, I didn't get to Rethreaded till I was 5 years sober.
Oh, okay.
And and I've been there for 5.5 years now,
Right.
and that's just, I believe that it's where I need to be because we teach each other and we help each other, and there's a lot of women there that work there that are part of a recovery program, and some that aren't. Some people work there that aren't alcoholics or addicts at all. They're just like normal people.
Okay.
Our executive team. So it's a good mixture,
right?
Because that's how we learn to grow. We grow from each other and learning and helping.
Accountability.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. So and it's not your typical job to where you do have rules you have to follow,
right?
But a lot of the new ladies don't understand. If you start and you need to take a break, walk outside for a minute and, get grounded again. That's, part of learning. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel that I need to cry.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I know for me, I stuff everything. I eat until I'm able to, until I'm able to really talk through and go, wait a minute, I need to talk to you about what's really going on.
Yeah.
And jobs are hard.
Yeah. Well, it's good though. I mean, I think a lot of jobs nowadays are more and more kind of like that. They're more forgiving. They give you like time to, like, I know our
I've
daughters.
seen a difference in my job, just how they do that now.
Yeah. It's so
they're
that's
listening to people, I think.
Right. Well, and it's
so,
all about that knowledge.
Like, get back to work,
Yeah, and that's how I grew up.
Yeah, me too.
Working under Daddy, it was like it has to be this way, and you're doing it wrong, and on it. And because one of the bosses there now, well, the only man that works at Rethreaded, to me, he's a big teddy bear, and I know that, but I'm still scared of him sometimes.
Right.
Because it's just I'm scared I'm going to do something wrong and he's going to yell at me. I've never heard him raise his voice.
Yeah.
But it's still that fear. It's like it's Christmas. We got our annual hug.
Yeah.
But it's good. And that's what life is about, is to know who we are and to help somebody else discover who they are. And I think that's a lot of we are learning more about what our purpose is in at Rethreaded or in life. Kristen right now is going around and sharing with there's like 5 things, and one of them is purpose. Purpose, time, community, and all these things that have to come together to start that new circle. And that's what it's about.
And yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's for everyone too. It's not just for
but
alcoholics and drug
but
addicts.
it's important to have that because you lost your way before, and then now it's I'm sure it's scary to start this new life without it. But if you have that hope that you do have a purpose without the drugs, without the alcohol, this is a new life that you can start all over again. And it's amazing that they have that place is there for them to help them through that.
That's where the community is, whether it be an AA community to where we all help each other learn and understand what the program really is about, or Rethreaded community to help us discover who we are and to help us in the career that we want to go. We have some ladies that have left and they work at other treatment centers. We've had one leave to go further a welding career. She went to welding school. So there's just all things that happen and to change a person's life to where she can go. It's just the ripple effect, the good ripples.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's almost like you're getting rewarded for just finally taking that step that probably seemed impossible at first.
Yeah.
And because, and then just taking that one step after another, and these are your rewards now.
Right. Well, it's just the same like human trafficking. I mean, because people think that it's an over there thing, and here it's real, and it can happen to anyone. My message is it doesn't happen to only young women or young boys. It happened to a almost 40-year-old woman.
So basically there are others who aren't necessarily in rehabilitation, but they're coming from something that they still need help to get through because of being trafficked.
Yeah. Or the trauma therapy.
Yes, there you go. That's trauma. Okay, so these are women that have been traumatized for all whatever. Different kinds of things. Okay, so they have the program that helped them recover from that, and that's amazing.
Well, and that's the thing where it's once the drugs and the alcohol are removed, so they're over here. It's like, oh crap! Now I'm me with nothing to make me feel better. What do I do?
Right.
Teach me how to live.
Right.
And
that's what I mean. Like they only knew of that life.
Correct.
Like you only knew they're in that certain lifestyle that they're used to. Without all of that, it's got to be it's scary because it's a whole new life. So
it is.
They help them to
live in the fear or to move from it and go, wait a minute, the fear is always going to be there.
I was going to say there's just a new fear now, a new fear of this new life, and now what? And
and that's where the learning to embrace it, to feel it, to talk about it instead of keeping it bottled up and to letting fear freeze me.
Like being okay that was where you come from and you were there, but you're no longer there now, and
correct. Whether I know a lot of young ladies that are 20 in their early 20s and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you have a whole lifetime ahead of you. I'm 40 something years older than you. You have a lifetime. You can do whatever you want to do. Start listing your goals. Just start dreaming. And what do you want to? Where do you see yourself? Flight attendant, maybe. That was one of my dreams recently.
I can see that.
Like, but it's like I love my job. And plus, but
there'll be a time. I'm sure there'll be a time though that if you have that opportunity.
Well,
it's been fun.
I did tell Rethreaded if Delta ever calls and says, hey Shirley, we really, really want you to come fly with us.
Yes, exactly.
I might have to. Yeah. Like, I keep seeing that rocket up there and thinking, oh, okay, it's a little bit too high.
Yes.
I don't want to do that, but God's plan. My dreams are my dreams, but God's plan might be a little bit different.
Exactly.
Just like I haven't had a boyfriend. Okay, and that's where it's okay. Am I going to fight it and resist it and start shopping? No.
But if you really wanted one, I'm sure God can help you out there. He'll send you one your way.
He will.
You never know.
I already crossed them off.
Yeah.
So, because I'm scared.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
and it's not just about you anymore when you invite somebody else in too. So
correct.
Yeah.
And it's like, one of my sponsors, she asked me, she said, are you willing to cut out any of your life for him now?
Mhm.
And my answer was no.
There
Hell
you go.
no.
See, that's why you're comfortable.
Well,
So
yeah, you know,
you're
because
content.
learning to be responsible and
Mhm.
accountable, and to be able to, even though me and Amy lived together and we split the house payment and all that, but as far like my car payment, my bills, I pay my bills. And I never thought that I could do that.
Yeah.
Never thought that I could do that, because it was like, that's too hard.
That's kind of what I see, though. It's like God gives you every step of the way. You're like, okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that. I've proven myself. And he gives you that, you know, the next step, like your car,
Yeah.
license,
Well, and getting back, you know,
house,
when the house, because
boyfriend, maybe
when
someday.
Habajacks first came to Rethreaded, and they were them arise together, Habajacks, all in white, they were talking about it, and I checked all the yeses, yes, 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 and me and Sue went to Yellowstone, but that was my vacation that year.
Mhm.
But when I was telling her about it, Sue, my cousin Sue, our
Yeah.
cousin,
Yeah.
and she said, I told her, she said, "Are you going to try for the house?" And I was like, "No." She said, "Why do you think you don't deserve it?"
Mm.
And I was like,
Still
Oh.
have that mindset.
yeah. And I was like, I don't know. So I prayed about it that night, and I woke up the next morning and I said, you know what? I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to sign the papers or fill out the papers and see what happens. And, you know, and then, you know, things happen. I was volunteering with the house and helping them build it, not knowing it was mine at the time, because
Wow.
it wasn't, but I was riding by it, saying, thank you. That's my house. That's my house. Claiming it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then another lady, I remember telling them, I don't think I'm probably not going to get it. And she's like, just keep doing the footwork. And I was like, okay. And my backup plan was I was going to go on a cruise, because when they announced the house, I remember sitting there and she was telling me, she said, thank you for doing all your hard work. And I leaned over to Lisa and I was like, I'm going on a cruise. And then she said, congratulations, you got the house. And I was like,
my gosh.
what? And on the little thing, I said something about, I was so excited. I said, I feel like Miss America.
Yes.
I got awarded the house. I was like, okay. I was so embarrassed, but
That's
it was great. But that's where God's timing came in.
Right.
You know, because all these things that just doing it right in front of me, whatever it was, brought me to the house. And it's like, now I don't have to worry about where am I going to move to next year?
Right.
You know, am I going to get kicked out? You know, all these things that it's just going to be okay.
It's almost like it makes me think that all those things, God's working out all those things for us. I believe he works out all of that there. It's all there for us, right? Just have to be able to ask.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to ask. It's the whole ask, seek, and knock.
That's right.
It's as simple as that sometimes. And sometimes it might not be. Right. Maybe he doesn't give it to you. But if you don't ask, how are you going to know?
Y'all should come to my church sometime. Because, I mean, Tony, he talks about, he said, when God answers your prayer, it's either no, no, you can't handle it, or yes, and here's more.
Right.
Or the no is also could be no, not yet.
Going to the well?
Yeah.
So where's that at now?
It's Ernest and Margaret. It's home.
Yeah.
You know, because this is a church that you homeless people living on the street.
I love it. It's open just, door.
Yeah, people come in as they are. You know, he does. Yeah. There's no expectations placed on anybody. You don't have to be a certain way. You don't have to look a certain way. It's just he talks about he wants to make disciples. You know, that's his responsibility. It's like it just feels like a good place to be, and you can hear. You know, you can hear what he says because he brings it just straight from his heart, and just this is how it is. You know, he relates.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's how church should be.
One thing I would like to talk about is because when I go hear y'all play, you know, you're there a lot of times, and you know, some people may or may not, because when I say I'm going to the bar to see my nephews play, they're like,
oh yes. No, and I remember wondering if you would go when they play at the bars.
Yeah. And see, and you know, to me, that's another being okay with who I am, knowing that if I choose to pick up that drink, that's on me. You know, but I know that I don't know where it's going to take me. You know, but the idea of going and being with family, because I said there's so many family members there that I know that I'm safe, for one, you know, and to be part of my family again. What a blessing that
Yeah.
is, you know, because I mean, you know, there was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of just that distance between a lot of me and my family for many years. And it's like, how do you build that back? And I build that back up by showing up today.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, by going and supporting y'all and just being a part of.
Letting them see who you are now.
Yeah, and not.
Yes.
I mean, I like to dance.
Yeah.
And you
like,
do
I
have
love-
a good time.
I love
and
seeing you
I love
there.
that.
And
I love that you can go there with the self-control that you have and
Yeah.
just have a great
Exactly.
time.
Is that one of the bartenders that time when we were there? And she said, I told her I wanted a Shirley Temple, and she said, "Do you want?" She said, "Do you want Tito's or house or Tito's?" And I thought, and my first thought was, did she say tacos? Because I'm thinking, I was like, what?
I'll take a taco.
I love tacos.
I was like, and then it hit me. I was like, Virgin.
Yeah.
She's like, oh.
Yeah, see,
I mean, the
she
Shirley
was thinking
Temple is a
dirty Shirley.
Probably.
That's
I
what they
never-
call it. If you want, if you
I
want
never heard of
the
that.
alcohol.
That's what they used to call me on the street.
oh, Dirty Shirley. She's the reason they named that drink.
Oh my god.
I never heard that.
But yeah, that's what they. So she must have just
I didn't
assumed that's
know
what
that.
you wanted. But
Shirley Temple.
yeah, I mean, you didn't say that though. You said a Shirley Temple.
Yeah.
So
Well, now I know to clarify. Shirley Temple,
yeah,
not dirty.
Yeah.
Shirley-
And that, like,
What a
I love seeing you at our shows because it's like, and to me, it doesn't seem, it seems like you're perfectly fine,
Yeah.
not, you know, getting wasted like we all do, you know.
Well, you
I
don't
mean, and
need
when
it,
we're all
no.
drinking and everything, it's like I used to kind of feel guilty, like maybe but then I'm like, no, she's having fun.
Yeah.
She's with her family. She's got her water,
Well,
you know, and it's like,
But see, here's the thing: nobody drinks like I drink there.
Right.
You know, because I can't tell you
I
how
don't
many
know
times.
about
But I've sat there and I'm like, you have a drink and you drink some water. You know, I was never able to
Yeah,
stop. But
exactly.
it's like you play, so you and drinking shots and all that in between. But here, it's like I watched the bar. And I'm looking at the people and I'm thinking, these people. I mean, of course, you have the exception of the fights breaking out in the parking lot
Right.
and the girls hanging all over the other ones and getting a very, very few times does that happen. Because whenever I drank to get drunk.
right.
And I drank to go home with whoever I thought was the cutest. Or, you know, I did things differently because I thought people drank like I did. But to be aware of it and drink, these people don't drink like I did.
Right.
You know, hey, y'all drink. I wake up feeling great the next morning.
Well,
I don't wake up feeling like,
Right. Exactly.
but
and-
it's a blessing that you could do that because I don't think not a lot of people that have gone through AA or that are recovering can do that. A lot of people can't be around it and they
Yeah.
choose not to go to those places. And I mean, we've even had friends as far as tell us that not to drink in front of them or like, just don't bring it around or,
well, yeah.
you know,
I mean, when I
because they
first got
can't have it.
sober, of course, no. But I remember the first time that me and Priscilla were going to go see y'all. A long
You
time. I'm
did.
scared. And she said, this is where I'll go with you. She said, I'll be there. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in and looking at the tables and then seeing the bottles of water. And I was like, are we at a bar? Yeah, because it was just different.
Right.
But now, I mean, and like I said, over years, and do I go hang out at the bars every time? No. You know, because it's like, I don't want to get too comfortable. There's a thing in one of the rooms, it just says live and let live. You know, it's like live and
Yes.
let live. And
To each his own is another one up.
yeah, trust the process. This too shall pass. All these, and it's like
Yeah.
before
Right.
I was like,
There's so
Like,
many.
oh, I know. Now I know what that means.
Yeah.
yeah. And before I didn't like them because
Yeah.
they made no sense to me. And now it's like, oh, I get it. You know, because this too shall pass is my biggest one because the feelings pass, the emotion, all these things, it passes away. You know,
Mm.
even us.
Yeah.
And life is too short.
You
Why
know,
not
it's-
enjoy it?
You know, it's interesting.
But
to
enjoy
me.
it in a healthy way.
Exactly. Like, don't say those words.
Something that-
well, I mean, it's not like
Well, life
it
is
doesn't
too
have to mean it's drugs and
what?
stuff when
It's
you
like-
say enjoy your life.
Well, somebody said YOLO, and I was like, "What is YOLO?" And he said, "You only live once." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I like that." I was like, "That's true." And then somebody said, "Wrong." you live every day, but you only die once.
Yes,
was
and
like,
I have heard
"Ooh."
that too. And I'm like,
Yeah. So these
even
things
better.
that I hear, I'm like, okay, I can remember those, and I can use that, and because I like short and sweet. It's like the keep it simple, Shirley. Keep it simple. Okay.
I
So
think we're done.
wrap it up.
Thank you for
And we
sharing your
That was
story.
awesome.
We
That was
didn't
so
cry.
great. No,
Yeah. It's like,
We got a little teary at it.
Yeah.
I think,
a little bit.
But yeah,
not like I was expecting, but I think this went really, really well. It was like, I'm going through the fear. This is part of it,
Yeah.
because the expectations and it's like, just let go of that and just do it anyway.
So again, thank you for sharing your
I love
story
you.
with us.
I love you.
Love
I love
you.
you very
We are
much.
so
And y'all have
happy.
been a very good example in my life too. For the good.
Well, I'm glad,
Good.
and I'm glad
Well,
that you
ditto.
are with us.
You too.
Yes.
Definitely. You've shown me a lot.
Mhm.
God has shown me a lot through you.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is very.
And but I like that. God has shown me a lot through you.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how He speaks to a lot of us, is through others. When you can't see it, then it's like a bunch of a bunch of hogwash. It's like, because when people say everything happens for a reason, all this stuff, it's like, just no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No,
Or it doesn't have to be that
sometimes
way.
happens
you
the
do
way it's
stupid
supposed
to. It doesn't have
things
to
and
be
you're
that way,
just
yeah.
like,
yeah, it happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But when you see the beauty in it, it's like, oh my God, I know it's real.
yeah,
I know He's real, because I know this. It should not have happened. I shouldn't be
Mhm.
alive. I know that without a doubt. There's no way I should be alive.
right.
Oh no, yeah, going
But
down
for
that
the
road.
grace of God,
And I'm
you know.
glad that you are here with us now, and you're living your best life.
and with no repercussions,
Right.
no health issues.
Yeah,
I
Wow.
quit smoking cigarettes. No health issues.
it's great.
And it's like, all right, what did you save me for?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
You're doing it now.
Yeah.
I was to
What
be
you're
sitting
doing.
on this couch
Yes,
right
exactly.
It's
Telling your
definitely an
story.
inspiration
and
and
to be at
encouraging.
Rethreaded, because that's where
Yes.
we have a lot of young ladies, anywhere from, I'm the oldest one there, but there's, say, 60 on down to 20. But we it's the flow. We learn from each other, and to be okay with discovering who you are, but holding each other accountable.
You're making a
okay.
difference in people's lives.
Thank
and-
y'all are too. I mean, this is what a seed.
Yeah, it's fun. We're having fun. We
Okay.
have so many friends that have like
I know.
wild stories. I mean,
And wonderful
and
stories.
so many different adventures. That
And travelers,
Yeah.
just travelers through life, if nothing else. Just,
Yeah, exactly.
Because the adventures of life. Yeah.
And that's what
and
we love
hanging with the
hearing,
Huns.
too,
Who
yes.
wouldn't want to
Yeah.
hang?
Woohoo.
I love that, hanging with the Huns. It's like perfect.
So
Yeah.
thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Or listening. And yes, like and subscribe.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Love y'all.
Thank you, Aunt Shirley.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you. Love y'all.